Howdy folks, today I'm going to show you how to get this exotic for free. I'll also show you how to fix it, add more slots to it, as well as upgrade the technology on it, and how to arrange that technology to get the most out of your ship. All in this beginner's guide for No Man's Sky 2021, and if you are a veteran player, well, there's still an awesome ship in there for you. So the first thing we need to do is to be able to actually get to this crashed ship. If you have not used a portal and you're new to the game, then I would suggest watching this video here, which is all about getting your portal glyphs, how the portals work in a very basic way, as well as how to find portals. And so yeah, you're going to need portal glyphs and a portal to do this. Also, make sure at this point that you turn multiplayer off. Go to your menu, go to network, and then make sure that multiplayer is disabled. Because if it's not disabled and there's more than just you in that system, then only one of you can get it. And if someone else takes it before you, it's then gone for you as well, and this can take a little while to return, quite a while sometimes. We don't quite fully know the triggers, or at least I don't anyway. So once you have turned multiplayer off and you know what you're doing and have all your glyphs and so forth, then go to the DHD right here and dial this address. We're going to Moon Sun Swirly, TP Triangle Rocket, Moon Waypoint Swirly, and finally Hex, Scarab and Whale. Excellentro, let's head on through. As you exit the other side, such as this, all floaty and whatnot, making quite the entrance, you should see these glass ones. Remember that this is in the Euclid galaxy, so if you're not seeing this, you're probably in a different galaxy, or you might have just dialed the address incorrectly. That is easy to do, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just head through, redial. If it still doesn't show you this particular address, then make sure you're actually in Euclid. Euclid is the first galaxy, and it's the one you actually start in unless you join someone else's game, and they were in a different galaxy at the time. Of course, you can end up in a different galaxy through many other ways, but I won't go into that because we don't want to do too many spoilers just for no reason. So get in your ship once you are through. Now, if you're lucky, you will be able to see the communication stations. Unfortunately, there is a base here which I believe does interact with the whole thing in a negative way, but it might not be here for me because I've actually already done this once. The recording was bad, so I had to do it again. But the first time I did it, I had to report the base to test some stuff. Now, unfortunately, reporting the base does not fix this issue, but I'll show you what the issue is at the time. Regardless, if you can't see communication stations that show you where this ship is, then you just need to go to plus 42.20 by plus 69.16. Those coordinates can be seen in your ship there on the lower left. It says the coordinates of where I am. This communication station appears to be incorrect. This is not where we're supposed to be going. There are multiple, so just try them until you find it. Now, there is an issue with this ship, and I think it's kind of good to show this instead of just skipping this ship. So, unfortunately, the issue that a lot of people have had, and I also had, but I found a workaround, is that essentially you'll kind of be able to walk through the ship, and you won't be able to interact with it. So I can actually interact with it at the moment. Oh, and it's working. Okay, nice. Right, so essentially, I'll still show you how to get around this if it's not working. If it's not working, you need to go inside, use this save beacon, then reload to that save. The second you reload, come out and sprint to the ship, and the option should be there, even if you can walk through it. The way I did it, because I'd already reported the base to get rid of it, see if that worked. But I believe it's the permissions, because the permissions to build still stick around. I landed my ship as close to it as possible, jumped out to get the save, reloaded, then sprinted up to it and managed to get the ship. So if you're having the issue where you're walking through it, that's how to fix that. Now, let's grab this beauty. This is max slots for a natural spawn, so 20 in main, 6 in technology. Hails to the air. So we're just going to grab this, and then I'll show you the most efficient ways to fix all these slots, depending on what you're going to do with it. Then we'll go through some slot upgrading, as well as some technology with some layouts. Now, if you want to just lift off in this, you will have to actually fix these. If you couldn't walk through it, and you did the trick to claim it, you won't be able to get in it. So the best thing to do in that situation is just to fix the launch thrusters and pulse engine if both are broken. Last time for me, both were, but just the pulse this time. at which point you'll be able to spawn it to wherever you want, so like call the ship to you, and then it will be interactable. So go to your pulse engine, need to make hermetic seal, obviously that's a nice easy one because we already have the blueprint there. And now you can lift up in it. It is not that safe because there's no shields, so you might want to repair the shields, just especially if you're in permadeath. If you're in permadeath or survival, just repair the shields. It doesn't take much. What does it actually take? Yeah, chromatic metal and sodium nitrate, and not much of it. There we go, we're a little safer now. So now if we head to my freighter, I'll show you some stuff for repairing the slots. Huzzah! I hate calling the freighter in asteroid field. Very occasionally you'll get an asteroid that's right in the way of where you're trying to land and get out, and it can mess with things. Just be wary of that. Now obviously you don't have to go to your freighter to fix all these slots, but for me, I use my freighter as my main storage and production area. I've got loads of refiners here and such, so it's just easy for me. Let's pop up to here. This particular room is for creating biomaterials, which you just refine 2 of the plant with 1 salt to make 1 biomaterial for that plant. So now, if we look over this, we have a number of different materials that we need to be able to fix this. Chromatic metal is a really easy one. You just mix silver, gold and a stellar metal. Indium is the best, copper is the worst, but even copper gives you 12 chromatic metal for 1 of each of those 3. And indium gives you 30. So 1 silver, 1 gold, 1 indium gives you 30 chromatic metal if you have a large refiner. Pyrite, phosphorus, dioxide, and even paraffinium, these are all biomaterials. So these biomaterials are really cheap. It's actually just the easiest just to, I don't know, mine some. If you're really, really early in the game and you don't have almost any units, just mine some cobalt from a cave and then just sell that and then buy the biomaterials. If you won't find all of the biomaterials at a single station's galactic trade terminal, but you will pretty much find all of them in the entire system if you check the ships flying into the station as well. It's not 100%, but you'll often find most of them. Pugnium, also really cheap, so easy to just buy, but when you only need like 10, just kill a single sentinel and you've got enough. Gold, silver, and even chromatic metal as well can be easily gotten by destroying pirates that come after you. They will always drop lemium, Herox, as well as chromatic metal in large numbers. Lemium and Herox can be refined to get silver and gold, so yeah, really good way to get that. Magnetized ferrite is easiest at the beginning, just to refine from some ferrite dust or pure ferrite. Pure ferrite, easy to get from planet surface or just refine from dust. Chlorine, just make sure you go to a world with water, go to a watery area and rocks underwater, and sometimes big crystals that kind of poke out. We usually have chlorine in them, so just scan around and find those. Wiring loom, you will pretty much just have to buy from galactic trade terminals. You can get them as rewards from missions sometimes, especially anomaly missions from the Nexus. You can also get them from dismantling other tech that you have, which is usually not worth it unless you're actually just getting rid of that to make room for something else. Now, let's fix all of these. Now, I've just repaired all of these main technology, but I have not repaired the technology slots. This is for a good reason. If you are planning to scrap this ship or use it in trade for something else, there is no point in you repairing these slots. That is just a waste of materials. It will do you no good. The value of a ship is not based at all by technology slots. It is based purely on main slots, as well as type and class. So if you're going to trade or scrap the ship, don't bother repairing these, but definitely repair these. If you're going to keep it, then you're definitely going to want to repair these as well. So let's do that. Now we have all of our slots repaired, we could repair these. Now antimatter, that's easy to make. You get that recipe very early on and it's quite cheap. However, magnetic resonator, to get that recipe, you'll either need to go to the anomaly and purchase the recipe, or go to manufacturing facilities and complete the riddle, in which case you can go into the menu where these blueprints are available and get it that way. Another way to get magnetic resonator is to simply purchase it. It's not always on sale, but you can find it at galactic trade terminals, in stations, as well as in minor settlements. As well as from the vendor in minor settlements as well, and archives. So worth checking if it's a really early game. But on this account I can make it, so I will. There we go, quite cheap. Right, so now we're all fixed up and ready to go. All the slots are fixed as well as all the technology. Now the next thing we're going to want to do is increase the actual slots it has. Now, while this can only naturally spawn at a maximum of 20 slots in the main and 6 in the technology, you can upgrade the slots to have 48 in the main and 21 in technology. So yeah, it's a pretty huge upgrade. Now you can do this via a terminal in a space station, so let's hop to there. Now, as you come to the space station, just head up here to the right side if you're facing out, or left as you're coming in. And this first terminal here, this is where we're going to do some stuff regarding the slots and upgrade it. This is also where you would scrap it if you wanted to, so be careful about that. Don't scrap your ship if you don't want to. You can upgrade the slots in the ship in two ways. You can either just purchase it with units, which gets quite expensive as it goes, but I mean it's fully very doable. Or you can use storage augments. Now, storage augments are gained in a few ways, but one of the primary methods to get these bad boys, which will give you a slot per one, is to actually scrap ships. Now, I have a video from not too long ago which goes over the full method of scrapping ships to make nanites, but in the process you also make a whole lot of storage augments. I will link this video in the pinned comment so you can check it out if you want to, because that's a great way to get up to like 45,000 nanites an hour, which is amazing, as well as a load of storage augmentations. And if you don't want some of the nanites and you want some of the tech, you can just also get a bunch of S-Class tech from there. So that'll be a really useful one if you want to upgrade this ship. You will, however, if you want to do that method, you will, however, need a little bit of capital. 100 million units is spot on. 50 million is kind of the minimum. So if you want to learn how to make units really efficiently, I have two primary guides for that. The stasis device guide, which is the super complex one, which does the whole endgame thing and can actually make 4 billion units per hour. And yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. It requires a lot of prep work and such, but once you've got it, you will never be short of units. But also, for the majority of people, activated indium farms are also pretty much as good as they'll ever need, and I've got a video on that as well. Right, anyway, back to this video. So once you've got, I'm going to use storage augmentations to actually do this. I have got the money, but I've got the storage augmentations as well, so why don't I just do that? Apply augmentation, and then essentially just, yeah, whack them all in. It will send you out of the menu for some reason halfway through. It always does it at that exact point, but if it does that, just pop back in. And whack all the slots in. Oh, it's great, isn't it? Right, so now we have a fully upgraded starship, 48 slots in the main and 21 slots in the technology. It's pretty amazing canvas to be able to paint all of our technology on. Now, when it comes to technology, there are two primary different types. There are blueprinted technology items, and then there are upgrades. So blueprinted are where you actually get the blueprints, and these are these with the install technology. So if I go to these, got the cadmium drive, emerald, indium. These allow you to go to different systems, colours, based on the actual stellar class of the star. Then we've got all these for the weapons, the economy scar and so forth. Now upgrades are a different thing. Upgrades can be gotten from these fellas. So if we go to the ship one, which is here, and these are the upgrades. These are one use only items that you just buy and then you can apply. This one has launch thruster module, so it's actually worth grabbing this because that's a great little extra one. If you actually have a full 6 launch thruster module upgrades, you aren't paying in S-Class. You aren't paying to ever launch from anywhere again. S-Class it's always worth just going straight for S-Class, because then you're never going to have to waste nanites then upgrade later. Now with these upgrades, with the blueprints, you can just have one of each blueprint type. With the upgrades, you can have up to 3 of each type of actual upgrade in each inventory. You see here in my exosuit, I have 3 S-Class jetpack upgrades. This one is a blueprint, the airburst engine, and this is the main module. These 3 are the upgrades. But I also have another 3 of them in my technology, because the technology in general are 2 separate inventories, and you're allowed 3, up to 3, of each type, regardless of class, in each inventory. So that's generally how that works, which means we can put 3 of each type of ship upgrade in each the general and technology inventory. So let's get some technology modules together and talk about layouts as well as adjacency bonuses and how basically where you put things in your inventory can influence how good it is. As you can see in this ship that's in my freighter, I have a bunch of modules from previous testing and such, so I'm just going to grab a bunch of these. I've got 6 for all 3 of the basics, so we've got 6 hyperdrive, 6 pulse engine and 6 ship shield. These are the very basics you want to do, and then we've got loads of other technology we can put in as well as weapons. So if we start with these, we can just pretty much whack all of these as they are. Turn me to there, which is fine. So as you can see, because we've say got 4 of these shields, it's not working. None of them are working. So if we move one of them, so there's only 3 in there and 3 in here, then they all work now. This is basically just that limit I was on about. So with the shield, we'll just move things around so we get the main ship shield here, and then just whack these so they're in a nice cube. And this is due to adjacency bonuses. So we'll do the same with all of them, and then I'll explain what this is all about. So here we have the very basics. We haven't put any extra normal technology in here yet, but we've got here in the main, we've got cubes. So we've got like a cube of these. This is due to adjacency bonuses. So essentially, if modules from each technology type are touching each other, they get a little bonus. The bonus is calculated on each individual module. So if you look at this one, this is getting a bonus because it is being touched on 2 sides by the main module and then this other module. Depending on what type of module it is, basically depends how much of a bonus it gets. And this is all somewhat complicated. I won't go into the whole thing now, but if you guys are interested in a standalone video that talks specifically about adjacency bonuses and exactly how it works, let me know, and I can go over all percentages of bonuses and so forth. But for this one, cubes are really good in general. So good for the pulse engine, good for the shields, good for one of the hyperdrives. Now, if we go into here, this is what we're going to do with the other hyperdrive. So, well, first of all, let's just sort this pulse engine. We've got multiple that we can do for this. So we can whack this one here and build that. Now, really, I probably shouldn't have put that one there. So if I just go to here, create a magnetic resonator, because you can't move them unless you actually... oh, I need 3 of them. You can't move them unless you actually fully build them. So if I just move this sublight there, we'll put this here. And essentially, we want these, which we want to boost the most in the center, because we have another one for pulse engine. I don't have tritium hyperclusters on me at the moment, so we'll leave that for the moment. But yeah, you would want to fix that. Then for the shield, we've got a shield blueprint to whack in there, ablative armor. Now that's done, so that's got the other 4. Although with the shield is probably one of the few that you don't actually have to worry about the adjacency bonuses too much, because from what I understand, there is a shield cap where it just stops being effective after a certain time, but I do not know this 100%. So generally this is a lot of shield. You don't need to worry about it too much. And there are other things you might want to put more of an adjacency bonus into. Now, when it comes to this one, for the hyperdrive, we've got 3 more. We've actually got 4 more that can give adjacency bonuses that we can make into a big block to get the most out of our actual upgrades. So if we look at this, the hyperdrive range, we've got 232, 200, and 204. These 204 and 200 are pretty diabolical. The range is 200 to 250 for S-Class hyperdrives. So if we take, essentially, these slots have priority. So the one with the gap here, that will have the priority of 1. So your best module needs to go here. Then your second best needs to go here. So as that's 200, your second best should be the 204 to go there. And then this one can go in any of these 4 slots, because these 4 slots have the same sort of priority. These are like priority of 3. In these slots, you'll then want to put your other upgrades. So cadmium drive, whack that in there. Also do the emerald, whack that. Next the indium. And now, essentially the last one to go in is the emergency warp unit. So if we whack that in, and this will give us the highest range we could possibly get for the actual arrangement here. Although you would actually want to put, because these 4 are in the same boat as these outer ones, so this one should actually have your highest total. So 232 here, if we look through here, 219, 204 and 207, so we've actually got really unlucky, so that is actually our highest. However, this 219 is the second, so if we move this in here and replace it with this one, then we can move this one back into there. That will give us a very slightly higher hyperdrive range, because this is getting touched by 3 sides, whereas in its previous location it was only being touched by 2. Also, another thing with the indium, emerald and cadmium drives, you actually only need the indium drive to be able to move to all types of systems. But the cadmium and emerald drives can provide a bonus to the modules they're touching. So if you care about min-maxing, definitely have all of them. If you don't, you can either have just the indium, or if you want to condense it just into a 2x3 slot here, we could delete the cadmium, which is, well, delete the cadmium or emerald, and then replace it with the emergency warp, because the emergency warp has a different function, so it actually adds something to it other than just a bonus. And then you've got this. It did drop our range by about 25 or so, 25.5 I think, but that's not too much. So unless you're min-maxing, you don't need to worry too much about that. And that's a very, very basic look at adjacent bonuses. But I do have one more thing to show you, which is regarding weapons, because those have a little bit of a different priority, and I'll explain why. This ship is my main ship for this save, and has been my main ship for a very long time. Now if we go into technology, this is where I've got the weapons. I've only actually done these. I haven't done the extra upgrades in here for the weapons, because these are really powerful with just these 4 without the other 3 upgrades. You actually have less connections by having it in a cross than having it in a cube with 1 extra. Now that is true, but these connections are worth far more, and that's why we have it in the cross. So essentially, if you look at this, the upgrades only give a damage increase of 3%, whereas the main module is of course the base damage, so that's 100%. Now, even though this main module gets half of the actual bonus that these extra ones do, it's still way more, because essentially you might get 6% bonus on this, but you get a 3% bonus on this. That's 6% of 3%, or 3% of 100%. And that's just, it's quite simple once you actually get your mind around it. That having the main module in the middle is definitely the way to go for any weapon where the bonuses give less than 50%. For ones like the phase beam, where the upgrades will actually give more than 50%, it's worth focusing on the upgrades in the middle and doing the cube as opposed to doing a cross. But for positron, cyclotron, potentially photon, infra, I haven't checked those in quite some time. It's generally better doing the cross. So just the rule is, if it's less than 50%, do a cross. If it's more than 50%, do a cube with an extra 1 if you've got 5. And that's generally the way to go. As you can see in this particular fighter, because the fighter has no hyperdrive bonus, then I haven't focused on getting the max hyperdrive for general. This is focused on some hefty firepower, as well as just having a nice bit of space to work with. Also, just one last quick nod, the launch thruster, definitely worth getting the launch system recharger, because this just makes life a whole lot easier. Or you could just get the S-Class launch upgrades, which can, as I mentioned before, essentially make it free to launch if you have enough. They're really good, so highly recommend. Thank you kindly for watching. I hope you learned something. If you're a veteran, at least you got a free crash ship that looks friggin' awesome. And if you're a new beginner, I'm hoping I explained everything well enough. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. And of course, a big thank you to Hunted FL for sharing this epic find with all of us. If you want to help support the channel, we have a Patreon as well as X-Men YouTube memberships. That's all linked below. We also have Xainesworld.com, which is just a wealth of knowledge and help for you in No Man's Sky, as well as a Discord, like I mentioned before, which is just full of awesome people, and that's all linked below in the pinned comment. Thanks for watching, folks, and have an amazing day. How amazing does that friggin' sky look? This looks so good. I love how freaking picturesque this game is now.